Welcome back to Project Server. So in the meantime, there have been a few items that have arrived in the post. So if you remember in the previous part, we took out the OEM fans, stole their caddies, casings, mounts, whatever, and wiring, and introduced our own. And so I replaced or ordered these before I started the process, just in case, but also so that if I decide to sell the server, because I think it will still have value, even in, say, 5 years time, I can at least return it to its stock condition. That's the whole idea, not to make too many modifications. Also, what has turned up in the post, which I'd forgotten that I'd ordered, but I'd ordered just on a whim. Again, it doesn't cost very much. I think it was €5. This is the virtual key that allows you to access the IMM, I think remotely. Not sure if you take it out, if it locks the IMM or not. I have to double check that. But the server already had one in when it came, so don't really need it. I ordered it anyway. You never know, down the road somebody might want it. And then a couple of items have turned up in the post as well. A couple more items, I should say. This, which I have no idea what it is, so let's open it together, because I'm hoping this is a CPU. That's what I'm hoping. It says making a faff at opening. Because if this is a CPU, this video will continue after this bit. So let's have a look. There you go. Yep, we have a CPU, which is nice. Let's just remove it from the bag. Now I've ordered parts from this company. I'll cover it just because I don't want everyone to use it, just in case. These guys seem to have quite a lot of parts. They're from Germany, which is quite nice. So I don't have to deal with like customs, because even though I'm British, I live in Finland. So, but I'll cover the voucher code just in case. I don't really want them to be inundated with stuff. It doesn't seem it's in plastic, but doesn't actually have a case. But then it was it was well enough packed. I mean, it was stapled to the paper so it wouldn't move. Anyway, that's good. So we have that. Let's put that inside. And then the other thing that's turned up, which is fascinating, that's a boot mark, if ever I've seen one. That's yeah, somebody stood on that. This feels like a heatsink. And that will be great, because that means we can actually do the next part of the video, if that is the case. Yes, it is. I made a mess of opening that. So, yeah, we now have a heatsink. I've got paste on it. Oh, nice. So we have the heatsink and the CPU, which means I can then stick them in the server and give the server and the operating system a test, just to see if I can actually run 2 CPUs at the same time with a normal bog standard operating system. I don't see why not. But also, like I said, and I still haven't looked it up, I'm just guessing. I want to make sure I can run both risers. Yeah, that's what's turned up in the post. I'm hoping that the replacement riser card is on its way, because I've had a notification of an item coming, so I'm hoping that's coming soon. So yeah, we are building a box of spare parts, which is nice. Okay, so the plan is to add a second CPU. I haven't got any extra RAM, so I'm going to have to do some RAM juggling. You'll also notice since the last time we've been in here that fans have moved about. Fan 1B is sitting over here on top of the, I still believe that's the IMM heatsink. There's definitely a chipset that gets hot anyway. Fan 2B is sitting on top of the first CPU. It's actually mounted to the riser bracket. Same here with fan 3B. It's mounted to the riser bracket on top of the CPU. The CPUs, again, I only ordered replacement parts. So I ordered the exact part that's over here. Doesn't look like it's a particularly impressive CPU, and I think even if I took this plastic off and screwed to it, I don't think it would get much more cooling. It is designed for the airflow to go through it. To be honest, they're not really that impressive. There are bigger versions of these heat sinks. I can't remember if this is a 75 watt or a 95 watt, and I've seen a 130 watt, but again, I'm just guessing those numbers because these are things that I've read because I've read copious amounts of material. I've read so much about servers that you start to get to a point where you start getting confused because there's just so much information. But anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to obviously mount these in. It's got compound already on it. I was thinking about adding some more, but I think I'll go with the factory compound to start with. And if we have a problem, and we will get told in the IMM about a problem. First thing to do, make sure it's disconnected from power. Yes, it is. Next thing, of course, is to pop out some of these riser cards. So like I said, you can see the fan is coupled to the riser. Same will go with this one. So you can see it's coupled so that it's nice and easy to get to. Fan 3A, 2A and 1A are over here. And this one, like I said, it's just fastened lightly like that because I'm going to have to get in there. So we're going to have to remove some fans and things like that. Now, luckily, these things come with a diagram that tells you, he says, trying to work out how to get it in shot because it's so big. It tells me that I need which sockets I need. So it looks like I'm going to have to take out probably 8, 1, 4 and 7. Yeah, if I take out 8, 1, 4 and 7 and put them in well, 11, 12, 15 and 18 by the look of it. So yeah. So we need to pull out now this is where I completely forgot again. This is going to take a bit of concentration. Probably shouldn't be doing this with a videotape running, but I need to pull out 8, 1, 4 and 7. So 8, 1, 4 and 7. Now they're written down here as to what they are. That's 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8. So 8 has to come out. Yeah, 8 has to come out. So 8 comes out. Okay, and we'll put you there for now. So 8 comes out. I'm going backwards through the chart. 4 needs to come out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just double check that it says DIM 4. Yes, it says DIM 4. So DIM 4 needs to come out. these back. So DIMM 4 is now out. I also have to check, see if I have to change any jumpers as well, which is the next thing, of course. One needs to come out. This is one. Okay. And 8 and 7 and 5. So we can pull out 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Are you DIMM 5? You're DIMM 5. 5. Okay. All right. So that means we have, as our first sockets, we have to have 3. We have to have 6. We have to have 9. Are you 9? Yeah. Are you 9? You're 9. You're 9. And we have to have 2. And that's the order that they're actually written here on the backplane, which is the reason why I'm concentrating quite hard. So that means we now have to populate 12. Populate 12. So you are 12. Why don't we do this? Why don't we open up the ones we have to populate? So we have to populate 12. We have to populate 11, which is that way. So we have to populate 11. It's probably a mirror image of what we're looking at. We have to populate 15, which is this one. And we have to populate 18, which is the very last one here. Okay. So now, theoretically, I pick up the RAM, and each one of these sticks of RAM was identical. And we drop it into the board. Oh. Okay, good, you're in. And then you need to go in here. Just double check. Yes. And then for some reason we've opened up too many over this side. So what do we have to do over here? We have to do 15, which is 15, which is so we've done 15, we've done 18, we need to do 12, which is this one. God, this is, just have to think about it. That's the thing, just do it in your own time and think about it. Yeah, so actually we were right, it wasn't that one. Panicking. Right. So we'll just double check these once we get these in. I did have a quick look around to see if I had any RAM that was the right sort of RAM, and I didn't, which is a real shame. Okay, so let's just double check. So according to our memory list that we have here, wherever it's gone, we have to populate 3 and 12, 6 and 15, 9 and 18, and 2 and 11. And that means that we need to populate 2 and 3, 6 and 9, and then here we have to do 18, 15, 12 and 11. Right. Hopefully that is the hardest thing that we have to do. Yeah. So now I don't have any kind of insertion tools or anything like that, so now I have to mount this. Like I said, I'm going to use the original thermal paste that came with it. I'm a little bit wary of these sockets because I know they're quite easy to damage. That wasn't even on properly. You've been a bit too careful probably, but better to be safe than sorry, I think, in these kind of cases. So the processor, which of course is a second-hand processor, is the same one that we had before. So I don't know if you can see that. I'm just trying to make it so you can. Yeah. So it's a 5649, I'm guessing E means enterprise. It's a Xenon, and it's 2.53 gigahertz. So it's the same as the other one. Got to work out which way round it actually goes. It probably goes the opposite way round to the other one, but there are two notches, so I think that looks like a notch. That looks like a notch on that side, and I think she's in. I really always hate changing CPUs. That feels a little bit too tight, but there's only a notch on that side and a notch on that side. She's sitting in the notches. Yeah. Yeah, it feels good. Okay. Oh. Okay. Well, it's either in or it's buggered. So like I said, the heatsink came with thermal paste on it. Part of me wants to wash that off and put on proper thermal paste, but I think for the purposes of testing, we will leave it the way it is. Now, this has an insertion method. Apparently, it's suggesting that the push here goes this way, away from the lever. So the lever is here. So, and it's telling me I need to insert it into there like that, and then drop it back. And then, if everything is lined up properly, which is of course the if, see, that doesn't feel like it's going home properly. There's a cutout there that it goes into. Yes. So it's gone into its cutout. Now it went home properly. Yes, I had it in slightly the wrong hole. That's on really firmly. All right. So it's just a case then of reassembling things and seeing what actually happens when we go for a startup. More than anything else. Oh, there you go. Sometimes that riser goes in and it goes in all sort of tweaked and slightly bent, which is weird. Right. Hopefully, like I said, ideally I would like that there, but I don't know how much room I'm going to need for cards that are going here. Like theoretically, a sound card and a USB adapter should go in here. They shouldn't take up all of the slot, and so then I can mount that on top of there. This one I know is going to have to move. So, all right, I'm putting it off because I don't really want it to go bang. but let's see what happens. I mean, so the IMM is starting up. And we will just clear some space so I can get to a keyboard. And we will put this back where it basically lives, which is over here. And the IMM is ready to go. Well, no smoke. Which is good. The IMM just initialized. Let's go look at the CPUs. Okay, so CPU 1 has 6 cores, 12 threads. You can see that it is running at 50, it's about 50 degrees at the moment, but it has only just started up. CPU is running, CPU 2 is running a little bit warmer. Yeah, it's running closer to 70. So I'm thinking I'm going to wash off that OEM thermal paste and I'm going to put some proper thermal paste on. Yeah, because that is quite a big difference between that and that. But I think I'm going to call it a win. Like I said, the main problem now is the graphics card, because the graphics card that's on here is like struggling. It is struggling at 1280 by 1024, and in fact it says here that it's actually closer to 1080 by 996, which is why I guess it feels like a little bit blurry on this monitor. But you can see it's like a very, very low powered graphics card. Did the RAM actually come back? Yes, it did. So yeah, we need to add more RAM to this. Yeah, I don't really like that CPU 1 is happily going around at that temperature, and CPU is what, 10, 15 degrees hotter. So yeah, it's a thermal paste thing, I think. Okay, so I just shut the server down, and I thought I would just have a look, and I think I've worked out why the second CPU is running a little bit hotter. Yeah, OEM thermal paste, not really covering the whole of the CPU. So I think we will add a little bit more. I've double checked the CPU is in the right place. So one of two things: either I have a badly manufactured mount bracket, or a badly manufactured CPU, or there's just not enough thermal paste on there. I'm going to go with not enough thermal paste on there, and so I'm going to add some thermal paste. Let's just put enough just to make sure. And hopefully that will get us better temperatures. I wasn't worried about it, but I just didn't quite understand why this one was warmer than the other one. It didn't make any sense. Yeah, I also struggle to mount this as well. I don't know why. It's on springs, so it shouldn't matter. Okay. Yeah. So we will put the system back together and we will see if that lowers our CPU temperature. Well, initially, after adding the second CPU, I noticed that the temperature climbed in the case, and the CPUs were running a little bit hotter than I would like, and quite a lot hotter than I think was optimum. They weren't going past their maximum operating temperature, probably because they were protecting themselves. They were probably clocking themselves back. But I didn't like it, and it didn't bode well going forward. Also, I had a weird imbalance where CPU 1 was colder than CPU 2, and I think that was just purely the distance from the actual fan driving the air. And anyway, I said to myself, why? And this is the second CPU. They're now basically about the same temperature. CPU 1's, well, they've just both gone to 56 as their average. So I'm quite happy. I had to make one change. The IMM is expecting to see a fan like this. And it's expecting to be able to control it. So it seems to have, and again, I'm only kind of guessing because I can't really tell. These fans seem to have 3 speeds that the IMM sends to it. About 25%, about 75%, and full on, you know, whoa, all fans are needed. It might be a bit more nuanced than that, but I don't think so. And of course, these fans here, they turn at different speeds. And so that was my problem. And I said to myself, how can I deal with this? And I suddenly remembered that when you get a normal PC fan, you have, obviously from this side, you have the situation where you have the ground, you have the 12 volt live, then you have the speed sensor, and then you have the PWM, the RPM, sorry, the power, because that's the RPM. And when you cut the RPM, that stops the pulse width modulation and defaults the fan into basically full power. It just turns the fan up to max. And I said to myself, what if I do that to all of the A fans in here? And so that's exactly what I have done. As a test, you can see them still here. I got a pair of snips, double checked my wiring, and I just went in and just went chicong, chicong, chicong. And the fans that are in the cages ramped up to full speed, and immediately I got a better airflow through the system. I mean, time will tell when I close the case. I was experimenting with cardboard baffles, trying to redirect the air. Like I had one here to try and funnel the air. I was, basically, the fans weren't turning enough, and that's why the system has been throwing fan errors as well. These fans by default obviously turn at different speeds, and only when the system was ramping the fans up to cope with the heat were the fans turning fast enough. Well, I've overridden that now. I probably will do the same to all of these fans, but so far I haven't seen any errors in the log, but I have to go and check just to make sure. But there hasn't been like an instant shutdown, which is what I was expecting. I was expecting the yellow lights to come on and, you know, warning, unable to control fan, and shut down. But nope. And the plan was that if that had happened, I would wire the PWM wire. I would wire it into the other fan, and then I realized that that was stupidity in its own right, because that would probably send double pulse width modulation to the second fan and probably slow it down even further, or potentially create a short. So, but the way they are wired, the PWM and the on the actual original fan, which I will just dig out, he says trying to disconnect the connector and failing. Yeah, when you look at how they are wired in their original, or in the original fan, the white and the yellow cable, focus, please focus. I'll take a picture. Anyway, the white and the yellow cable are the pulse width modulation, and they're wired to the same pin in the connector. And so I figured that that would mean, as long as the PWM controller can control one of the fans, the other one can go full tilt. And I think that's the best solution I'm going to have for the cooling with this system so far. The placement of these fans still to be determined. Once I'm happy with everything fitted in, I'll probably start to worry about drilling holes and making custom mounts in things. But for now, I'm going to call it a win. I've managed to basically get the fans, or get the processors running at a temperature which I'm comfortable with, and I think that is a win for now.